Hi, Sean Jaster from Death Horse Effects, and we're going to do a little makeup tutorial today. I have various prosthetics and stuff like that. I'm going to first show you how to apply prosthetics, the type of equipment that's going to get used, so on and so forth. Anyway, to start with, I'm going to be using slip latex prosthetics. So these aren't going to move terrifically great, but they're cheap and abundant and easy to run. Before you apply, you want to check the placement of your prosthetic to make sure everything will work out the way you want. It should be fine. Okay, so once you kind of know where your prosthetic is going to go, this is just RCMA colorless powder. Baby powder is fine. It's just setting powder. But the goal of this is I'm going to put the prosthetic where I want it. I'm going to powder the edge. And what's going to happen is that's going to give me a little outline of where I want to put down my adhesive. So I don't know if you can see, but there's a bit of an edge there. So I'll be using spirit gum today, which is what y'all be using. Spirit gum is probably the most abundant, basic prosthetic adhesive, but it's still very decent. So it gets used a lot people still use it to this day in not just minor but major settings. It gets used in theater, it gets used in film, you can use it to blend edges. Nicer versions of it get used for attaching wigs in the hairline. So I apply it to the person that I'm going to put the prosthetic on, and then I will also apply it to the prosthetic itself. Now this will dry by itself once I get the adhesive down. I'm going to tap it with my finger, and what that's going to cause is basically like break up the drying process just enough so that it gets a little more tacky. So I'm going to use my pinky here on my subject's face. Don't mind that rumbling, that's the air compressor. So now as this is drying, I'm tapping the edge. And you pretty much just want to tap it as it dries until you'll feel it get tacky. And once it's tacky, you can use it to adhere. Some limitations of spirit gum, it doesn't particularly like oil or moisture. So cleaning your performer's skin is useful, but it will break down over time. If you have concern for more longevity, then you would want to use something like Pros-Aid. But today we'll just use spirit gum. It'll work perfectly fine for what we are doing. Okay, so as long as it got tacky, it should hold down pretty well. If you have a bad edge, you can always apply a little more. So on the day, you could take a little bit of either witch hazel or some astringent, or you could take your alcohol and just cleanse their skin just to make sure this will hold up well. We could go for a stronger adhesive, but well, we're not going to be able to help people remove it, and most of the other ones are kind of a pain without specific removers and yada yada yada. Anyway, it's going to get loud, sorry. Helping it along to dry. So now once I've got it relatively tacked down, you could take your as much time as you want with this, but up next, this is just a bottle of liquid latex. They all are pretty ubiquitous with one another, but I'm just going to use this to stipple over the edge, which will help hold the prosthetic down and also help kind of blend out this edge so that it looks a little nicer. And this is just a makeup sponge that I tore off the edges just so that this is a little less even. The human eye is really good at picking up patterns. And so making your blending edge or anything you just don't want people's eyes to pick up on, making that more uneven will help you in the long run, so you don't have a ridiculous edge you're going to have to try to hide. Okay, so I'm just putting down a thin layer, and I'm going to hit it with the hair dryer. Use your cool setting. Latex in general, your actor doesn't want to get blasted. Also, latex does not like heat. But here we are. Edge one to come up. One thing is around the, actually, will be okay. Just put some more. Now, one thing, you could just use the spirit gum to blend it out. Do pay attention on if your actors have latex allergies. There are actors that are allergic to liquid latex. There are actors that are allergic to spirit gum. So if they start see them start breaking out or anything like that, it's best to just take the piece off. Okay. And again. And so if you're just applying a prosthetic, you could then paint over your edge. This edge can try to roll or something if you're not careful, so just be careful of it. But I've pre-painted these a little bit just to make my job easier, but on the day you'll get blank latex prosthetics and you can just apply. So to recap, you'll take your prosthetic, put it in place, powder the area to see where you have to put down your spirit gum, apply your spirit gum to the prosthetic and the skin, tap it as it dries, and then we're going to, then once it's tacky, you then will press it into place. Then you will take liquid latex and blend around the edge with a couple of layers just to help cut down this shelf. So that would be it if we were stopping with just applying prosthetics. The same will apply to anything, any slip latex prosthetic. So be it little boils or wounds or whatever. But I have a new makeup I have to do, so I'm going to apply some more. So I got this little eye thing I'm going to apply here. Just like I did the other one. I've got some various pieces and stuff. I'm just going to do this side. This makeup is for the alien hybrids. So these little horns and stuff like that. Are taken from that costume and will also be part of the costume. Notice I didn't powder the area again. I got tired. So I'm just going to apply adhesive over the area that I know is going to go. Just because I'm comfortable enough knowing where this is going to go. Again, tapping the edge. And make sure you do this before you do anything. No makeup. You want to get this done first. All right. Apply that here. It's not unusual for your edge to come up a little bit, so you just come back in. Little adhesive. It's not terribly fumey, but it is a little bit, so just beware. This is kind of the like 95% sanding of the whole process. Once we get painting, that's when the fun begins, but applying all your stuff, making sure the edges are good. That's the initial annoying part. Okay, that'll do. And again, liquid latex. And the thicker you apply, the quicker you'll blend your edge, but also the longer it's going to take your latex to dry. The latex is going to dry pretty clear when it does, so you kind of want to give it its time. Okay, so we could keep adding stuff, boils, whatever have you, but this is good enough for today. So now that this is all stuck down relatively well, close up the latex. By the way, if you're working with liquid latex, don't wear any clothes that you care about. If latex gets in, unless you hit it instantly with soap, and even then you may not, this stuff will not come out. Okay, so now that I've laid down the prosthetic, I'm going to use an airbrush. So there's two airbrushes that we'll be using. There's this, which is a dual action called a Pache Talon. We'll get to that later. Well, we'll start off with this, which is a Pache H. When you're using it, there's going to be makeup in little bottles that are going to interface in the bottom here. I'm just using a little side cup. Okay, so as the pressure drops, the little air compressor is going to keep chirping, so hopefully it's not too annoying. So you turn this little cone here, and that adjusts the amount of paint coming out. And this is a number 3 tip. So I'm just going to do a little bit of paling. I don't necessarily need to pale it completely, but I just want to knock down some of the redness. And this is Pale Dead. We'll also be using, this is Pro Air, which is a hybrid. You just need to know it's Pro Air. This water is not the solvent, so you're going to need to use strong alcohol, 99% to clean your items, and also to clean out the airbrushes if there's any blockages. But anyways, you ready? So you can see as I'm spraying, I'm keeping my hand moving. Little circles or figure eights. Again, you're trying to avoid straight lines. Here. And since this is supposed to be kind of a creeping thing, I'm only gonna do a little bit. I don't need her absolutely caked in the makeup. All right. Now you can take your flesh tone and putting it anywhere where there's a lot of redness will help to kind of make them look sick. So I'm done with this, so I'm going to stash this one away and then move on to detailing. I cleaned this bottle off with alcohol and the label is gone, but believe me when it's kind of a teal color. So now I'm using a Talon, which is a dual action airbrush. So the H, pretty much you turn the cone and that adjusts your paint. But this, when you push the trigger, that's just airflow. When you're using a dual action, when you push down, it's still airflow, but as you drag back, when you drag back, that increases your flow of paint. It's a bit of a thing to get used to, but it allows you to do really nice detail work. I should remember to continue to face upstage or downstage towards the audience. I work backstage, so I don't have to tell you. I try. Okay, so this color is teal. It's probably a vein tone or something like that. I'll look it up and put it in the description or whatever. One thing to pay attention to is on the back, there's this little knob. It's meant to kind of restrict the path backwards. So like if you're trying to do really fine lines and you find like that sweet spot, you can clamp this down, and on the inside, it's basically just restricting the movement of the needle. If it feels like this won't move back at all, it's probably because you accidentally tightened this. Anyways. I'm just kind of going over the edge. You don't. Even isn't necessarily the aim here, but and I'll use several colors, but I'm just going to use this color to do some of my shading and stuff, since it's kind of like an alien infection. You understand. And in general, this teal will work well to make them look sickly. Think opposites on the color wheel. So if you're trying to reduce red, introducing some green or something the opposite will help make them look ill. So one thing that a dual action is very good at is finer lines. So if you want to do, if you want to do veins and stuff, which I do, it's a very good tool. This is a good thing to like just use, practice. All of it's just going to be practice. thing to be careful of is to drip. It's very easy to accidentally do that. Yeah, it's gonna feel weird for your actors. They might, I mean, it's wispy. What I did earlier is that if your airbrush is starting to get a little bit clogged, you can just take a bottle of 99% and just spray it at the tip. Sometimes that'll break up if there's anything. I kind of want to carry this over. Okay, so I've got some veins laid down. I'm going to take the rest of my makeup and I'm going to dump it back because waste not. I'm then going to take, I have this spray bottle of 99%. Spray in the cup. And then take a paper towel, since I'm transferring between colors. Now, grab this little cup, dump out the extra makeup. Now, on the day, you're not going to have to change or spray out between colors because there's going to be dedicated airbrushes to each color, which would be nice and convenient for you. Okay, so I'm going to switch to black just to get a little bit more shadow detail. I'm going to have to be gentle with this because it will be temperamental. What I'm doing is I'm covering the tip of the needle and then pushing air in. And what that will cause is for air to circulate a little in the cup. I'm just going to add a little alcohol just to thin the makeup. And that's another thing to keep in mind is that if you find that your airbrush is having trouble spraying or something like that, often just add a little alcohol to the makeup. It'll help thin it down. Close your eyes, please. I'm looking for bone structures and stuff to help guide what I'm doing. So that's the orbit of the eye, structure of the nose. A lot of time makeup is trying to remove flaws. Well, you're trying to put them back. As it helps, step back. Cool. So yeah, if you're doing a wound or something like that, you'll have this from Mayron. It's just their gel blood. There's many different brands. Or you can just apply it where you want it. But yeah, here we go. One infected by alien DNA. Okay, thanks.